God's revision. Melchizedek, King of Salem. A collection of statements of the Lord. The Household of God, Volume 3, Chapter 362. After the flood. But the Lord blessed this beautiful country 3 times and gave it completely to Noah and his children to own. And Noah praised and glorified God for it over and over and said to the Lord, O Lord, what service do you ask from me now, which forever should remain in all the seed of me? And the Lord said, You know what I have said to Enoch. See, this order is always yours too, and thus remain in it forever and ever. For I forever demand nothing else from the people but to love me, their God, Lord and Father above all. I demanded this from Enoch, and I also demand this from you and all your seed. But I want to reveal another thing to you. Behold, since it now pleases me on this earth, as a true Prince of Princes, a Lord of Lords, and a King of Kings, I want to build a dwelling for myself on this earth. Not far from here, I'm going to build a city, and will dwell in the same until the big time of times, when I will walk in the flesh myself among my right children. Thus, the earth shall now be the place on which my feet shall rest and walk. When I came to your fathers, I became invisible again, but you shall see me walk on my feet on the ground of the earth as a man, and move towards the evening up to a country which shall be called Canaan, blessed country. You will reach it in a 17 days journey. There I will build a city for me. This and you and all your descendants shall call Salem. But my name as the Prince of Princes, a Lord of Lords, and a King of Kings shall be Melchizedek. See also the 3 days in the temple, chapter 19, an elder priest since eternity. You are free, but your descendants will have to give me the 10th part of everything. Who will refuse will be driven out of my neighborhood. Amen. Great Gospel of John, Volume 1, Chapter 4. But because he refused to submit to this mild "you shall," he was given a more severe and mightily sanctioned law, and the sanction promptly executed when this second "shall" was disregarded. See the deluge and similar cataclysms. After this disciplining, the divine being descended to the earth in Melchizedek and guided men. But they soon began once more to fight and had to be bound through new laws and return to order, so that they were left with only a kind of mechanical movement, limiting all their inclination. Thus, through the law, a wide gulf had been created, and no spirit or entity was able to leap across it. This is caused prospect, and the inner awareness of an eternal existence, of the inner, thus considerably limited, life to become seriously doubted. Following this limitation, the divine primordial being then appears in its own fullness, namely in the person of Christ. Jairus, I say unto you, all the high priests and all junior priests fear neither the fire nor the big storm that passed the cave where the great prophet Elijah was hidden. But the gentle breeze above the prophet's cave they fear, because they keep saying that the high priest in the order of Melchizedek will come quietly as a thief in the night and take everything they had earned up until now. Wherefore no priest wants to live through the arrival of the anointed God from eternity, but have the same postponed as far as possible into the most remote future. The Lord. Are you so well versed in the most general history of mankind that you have reason to reproach me for only now responding to those calling and seeking, but never in former times? Did not the first man constantly associate with me, who was, beginning with Noah until Moses, the high priest at Salem, called Melchizedek, who dwelt at Salem also as a real King of Kings? Who was the spirit in the Ark of the Covenant? And since the spirit from the ark entered me, question, who am I? The Lord. Who was Melchizedek, the only highest priest, the King of Salem? Where are his teachings and his most wise and loving laws for all people? See, your fathers have destroyed them. Everything that was lost, Moses reproduced in his great 6th and 7th book, and you again hid it from the people and instead gave them excrements. When all humanity has become bad through the actions of selfish priests and other power-addicted people, can God help it? God gave to man a free will, so that man, free out of himself, can become active for himself, but also gave to man reason and mind, so that he can understand the advice and laws of God, and also gave him the strength to act accordingly. When, however, man with his free will still allows him to be ruled by the world, and does not regard the advice of God, is it then not his own fault that he, through his own actions, becomes ignorant of God's order, and must fall from one misery into the next? Since it now has become too bad and too lightless among the people, I myself again come to you as the old Melchizedek, even in the flesh, as I have announced this already long ago in advance by the prophets. The Lord. But there is also a big cemented cellar made of basalt stones in this castle. Did you ever discover or see it? The eldest and 2 of his nephews, who were almost as old as him, said, "Yes, there once must have existed a cellar full of the best wine, and also other treasures must be hidden in it. But no one of us has ever dared to go into the subterranean spaces and investigate amidst all kinds of malicious vermin and other evil powers. And thus no one of us knows the real, exact entrance to the mentioned cellar. Where and how can we enter it? I suppose that by your power, also that, just like all the rest, will be in excellent condition now." I said, "If you believe that, sure. But since no one of you knows its entrance, follow me, and I will bring you to the cellar." Then the eldest and 10 of his family members followed me with one of the many torches of wax that we took from the kitchen, and we also lighted it there. A gallery led from the mentioned big kitchen to a big door that was made of a plate of basalt. I showed them how the door could be easily opened, and I myself opened the big and heavy gate. When the gate was open, large stairs became visible at once, along which we could easily come into the very spacious, big cellar. When we were in the cellar, about which those poor Jews were again extremely amazed, we found a large quantity of big and small containers of stone, and also a still larger quantity of drinking utensils made of stone, ceramic, silver, and also gold. About which the poor Jews were of course extremely surprised, and they did not know whether also these things were created by me in a miraculous manner, or if they still dated from primordial times, which could be suspected from their appearance. And I said to them, "All the things that we have found here come from the time of the great king and high priest of Salem. This was on earth his castle, which, just like the mountains with their many extraordinary caves and holes, was not built by human hands, but by that same power by which it is now constructed again. For only I am the true King of Salem and High Priest Melchizedek from eternity." I said, "The Lord. Yes, you are right in this, as it is also written that I will take away my light from the Jews and give it to the Gentiles. Therefore I say to you that I then also will abolish the Old Covenant and the Old Testament, and will establish a new one for the Jews, as well as for all people on earth, according to the order of Melchizedek, who was a king of all kings, and a supreme priest of all supreme priests. That is why all kings and patriarchs had to give the tithe, even Abraham was not excluded. And that Melchizedek was I, from the time of Noah till much after Abraham, with whom the covenant was concluded by the great promise that was made to him. And now I am here again as the same. but not to confirm and maintain the old covenant, but to make a new covenant with all people. Then I also will remain king and lord and supreme priest forever, entirely according to the order of Melchizedek. So the patriarch Abraham, who was the owner of the promised land, was also an unrighteous steward. But you surely heard that in Salem, the place where he lived, he always had a big table ready, where every day several thousands of poor and needy people were satiated. And so it became a proverb that the happy ones were those who were blessed to eat at the table of Abraham. Look, that is why Abraham was my favorite, and I blessed him and his family manifold, which you can conclude from the fact that Abraham was the most important and greatest friend of the King of Kings and Priest of Priests, who was without beginning or end, and whose name was Melchizedek, to whom he personally gave the tithe. And he was the only one among the many kings of that time who was fortunate of having the right to come to the residence of Melchizedek. And this person once went personally to him, escorted by 2 angels, and predicted to him that his aged wife Sarah would bear him a son, which Abraham also firmly believed. But at the same time, Melchizedek revealed that the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah would perish, and he further revealed to him that finally he himself would come from his tribe as a human being of flesh and blood, to make all human beings truly blissful. But let us leave Abraham and Melchizedek to rest now, because the latter is now personally sitting with you, and the old patriarch Abraham is in the spirit not far away from him. The Childhood of Jesus, chapter 169. And the infant spoke, I know that, and I also know a few things that you do not know. However, it would have been fitting if you had also served the Lord a full portion. Do you really know who Melchizedek, the King of Salem, was? You do not know. However, I know it, and I will tell you. The King of Salem was the Lord himself, but apart from Abraham, no one was supposed to know this. That is why Abraham bowed to the ground before him, and voluntarily gave him a tithe of everything. Joseph, I am the same Melchizedek, and you are the same Abraham. Why do you not want to give me a tithe of these good fish? Genesis. And the king of Sodom went out to meet him after his return from the slaughter of Cheddar Laomer, and of the kings that were with him, at the valley of Shaveh, which is the king's dale. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High God. And he blessed him, and said, Blessed be Abram of the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth. And blessed be the Most High God, which hath delivered thine enemies into thy hand. And he gave him tithes of all. 3 days in the temple of Jerusalem, chapter 19. The explanation of the 2 words, Jerusalem and Melchizedek, by the 12-years-old Jesus. Barnabas said, But you, dearest, marvelous boy, about the 2 words, Jerusalem and Melchizedek, we should like to hear something from you today. I said, Well, so pay attention to the roots alone of the single words in the old Hebrew tongue. G, this is, Ru or Ruha, the dwelling place, Sa, for the, Lem or Lehem, great king, Mi or May, of my, Ichi or Lichi, red Litzi, countenance of light, Sedek, seat. This is the dwelling place of the great king, the seat of my countenance. You know, of course, that the elders pronounced the vowels between the consonants at the formation of words, but did not write them down because of a certain veneration. Jehovah, G-E-O-U-A. Therefore, one must understand how to put the vowels between the consonants in words more than 1,000 years old, and the true significance of such an old name explains itself from its roots.